Welcome to Puck Talk CS. I'm Matthew Mugno with Steve Murno. We're here to talk all things New York Rangers. Steve, World Series Game 7, but our focus today is more about a hurricane warning. They got the flags out in New York in the Hudson, I was going to say New York Harbor, not even a thing. Um, Steve, Hurricanes are coming to town tomorrow. It's a big matchup in the respect that this is really that first national game, national TV. There's been a lot of talk about the Rangers and their success level between last year, this year. Um, I feel that the early November game against Carolina is always a pace setter and pace marker for the club to start the year.
Yeah, it's going to be a testament to this team on many different levels to start the year. So, Matt, let's do it. Let's talk some puck, and it's going to be a testament on two different levels. Number one, this is the first time we're playing Carolina. So, I mean,
Mhm.
this is the team. This is a team that absolutely mopped the floor with us last year. And it's also a testament because we're coming off probably our best stretch of games for the entire season. And how we respond to this type of opponent for us is going to be very telling. Are we going to shrivel up? Or are we going to put a lead with our chest and step up and continue this good play of hockey? And I think this is the game that I had circled on my calendar from the start of the year. So I'm excited. This is a really big game.
Steve, let's backtrack a little bit and really dive into. I haven't gotten the chance to talk to you. We were talking like during Game 7 of the World Series. It's so late at night. I turned immediately from the end of the game. Like once they started the interviews, I was like, all right, obviously we're Yanks guys. Like I'm not a Dodgers guy, so I don't really care. Um, to the Kraken game, it's overtime. They win in overtime, but a lot of our messages were one text. So I thought the game was really great. They didn't surrender a single high danger chance. I was talking to Dexter Henry on New York Sports NY Post yesterday about the fact that this reminds me of like Tortorella era, which Mike Sullivan was an assistant coach with that team. It reminds me of Thibodeau with the Knicks. Getting that system in place, changing the culture before the offense has popped. So we've seen a lot of those defensive heavy games, some successful, some not, as we've talked about on the show. But what were your overall thoughts on the last few wins? They're 3-0 in their last three games, and they scored 9 goals in those games. So a little bit of an uptick from the first few weeks of the year.
Yeah. Um, I think I don't want to sound like a broken record from the last few episodes, but all doom and gloom after that terrible 5-1 loss in Calgary. This was a team that hadn't won. That hadn't won. They were last in the standings. Poor performance all around. Game before that, San Jose. Let's not rehash things. But instead of sitting there and mopping, we regrouped. And I think you come out, you shut out the Vancouver Canucks in a game behind Jonathan Quick. You overcame a 2-goal deficit in the Oilers game. JT comes out, wins that game in overtime. Then you come out against the Kraken, and they've been playing very well to start the year. And this game wasn't pretty, but we once again found a way to win the game. And I think instead of gloom here, there should be plenty of smiles now because now you're coming back, you're returning home and you're going to play Carolina in such a huge game on such a more positive note. And I think, unlike the game in Edmonton, I think the Rangers were more in control. It wasn't a pretty game against Seattle, but I felt like we were more in control in that game. We had the advantage in high scoring chances, which are key. That is something we didn't really see from last year's team. And like I mentioned, the ability to come back and win games, Edmonton, the Kraken game, that is something we didn't see last year, and that's something that 2 years ago that really propelled us to be one of the top dogs in the league. So I'm kind of seeing little tidbits here and there. That's something that I want to see continue, and I think um, for much of the night, Shesterkin's biggest ask was just staying alert when the puck was on the other end of the ice, and that was such an easy game to lose. Like I was after flipping over from the World Series. I
Yeah.
mean, that was such a the Kraken game was a game that last year's Rangers team would have lost 100%. And I think this was the last few games, and this Kraken win were wins that this team absolutely needed to have. These were the big moments, and really propels us to where we are at. So I think I couldn't have been more happy for the last few games. It kind of thinks, you know what, we're kind of changing the tide now. You agree?
Yeah, 6-1-1 on the road, right? And context wise, this comes like we can't ignore that part of this road trip was that Calgary game. Brennan Hoffman comes up, he's called up, and he had arguably the worst moment, I think, even including last season. Last season had a lot of bad moments. Um, I thought Brennan Hoffman, the pass attempt on that break in, resulting in the goal going the other way, felt like a new low. Unfortunately, he was sent down. He only played in one game upon his call up. But that moment felt like so many things coming to a head. Failure of prospect development with Hoffman, failure to now defend well, which they were doing in the first few games, and of course the exposing of not being able to score, not being able to keep the score close. Igor, I wouldn't say had a bad game, but he did surrender 6 goals. So overall, the Calgary game as the start of this trip, it starts a stretch that or finishes a stretch where in between the pretty solid Montreal win, they went 0-4-2 around that. So they went 1-5-2 in that stretch. They were 0-4-1 at home. So you thought, well, it can't get much worse than this. Now they're 6-1-1 on the road. Um, and this is all without Vincent Trocheck. So that's another factor to
Yep.
consider. Now,
We have the
Steve-O,
best. We have the best road record in the NHL right now.
really,
Yep.
that's it's always something unpredictable, Steve, right?
Yep.
So I wanted to mention to you what I noticed, which why are we talking about regular season numbers right now, right? Like it's because this team isn't a shoe-in playoff team, right? When you have players that you can rely on to just produce totals that you're expecting, you get into the playoffs, right? And that's the biggest argument with Panarin is like he's the 90-point player that those 90 points get you to the playoffs. It's about what's next. Well, this season that's not the case. Um, Will Cooley led the road trip with 5 points. He's on a 4 assist streak, 4 game assist streak. Adam Fox had 4 points with 4 assists. Loff had 3 assists. Laba with 2 goals. And these are where the concerns are with me. Zibanejad had 1 goal on that trip. And I think his play has been a lot better, but just 1 goal on that trip. Panarin had 0 points. And Miller 2 points. Now he leads the forwards in points this year with 8, but I'll say this: it's not about how many. Sometimes it's about timing. Overtime goal against Edmonton, assist on the overtime goal in Seattle. So basically, two of his plays directly led to 2 victories and 4 points in the standings. What are your thoughts on that? I don't know. I don't know if you dove into those numbers at all or look at any of that stuff.
I looked at a few of them. Will Cooley, I know you brought up on 2 episodes ago. I said that I wasn't really concerned like he was going to show up. And he has. He's like you mentioned, he's extended his point streak to 4 games. He definitely capped off his best week of the season. There's no doubt about that. Probably his best game as well. Lab has
Yeah,
been great. But you look again, Mika is worrisome. Lafreniere too. I would say Lafreniere. You look at it and say, he had 3 assists. But I need Lafreniere to start hitting the back of the net. And same goes for Mika and Panarin. Like I said with Cooley, I'm okay with Will Cooley. And look, he woke up. He's fine. Panarin is going to wake up. He's going to show. Maybe it's this week
third
against
on
the
the team
Islanders.
in points.
Yeah, he loves playing against the Islanders, Panarin. So maybe he shows up this week against the Islanders. Panarin, I'm a little less worried about.
Gotcha.
But Mika and Loff, I'm a little bit concerned about. I'm looking at those goal numbers. Lafreniere 1 goal after the first month. I need a little bit more than that moving forward. Panarin 2 goals. It's a little bit surprising for me. Fox is always going to be up there for points. Every
Yeah,
single year, he's with those assists, we always talk about it. He's the catalyst, especially on that power play, which power play has been much better. Um, yeah,
Fox is playing better out of the gate, though, and I'm happy to see that he's producing and he's steady on the back end. I feel like I've been very vocal of criticizing Adam Fox, and I want to get, not that he needs him, but here's some shop right flowers, man. So he's got 11 points, and I think this is kind of the start we normally see from Foxy. So it's good to see, the former Norris Trophy winner in this position with the club right now. I also want to shout out Steve-O. We got the point totals up here, but Igor and Quick, you got it steady in net. Igor was criticized for his contract. Fox has been criticized. I think both of them have played well, and I think Zibanejad is in a lot better place than he was last year. But I'll say this to with Loff, like you think about 1 goal in 13 games, like he's pretty much on pace for like 10 goals right now. So there has to be a point where there's a hot stretch. Um, but again, is it really about the fact that like we want Lafreniere to hit higher totals, but you're getting scoring from a lot of different places. So I think it's like six in one hand, half dozen in the other.
Yeah, I think the question is more so when you don't get that scoring from different places, then you start looking like the first few home games that we had, and you start looking at fingers. When you win, like let's go back 2 years ago when we were the best team in the league, and I think a lot of that,
Yeah.
that team had a lot of problems. But when you win and you are the best team in the league, a lot of those problems get swept under the rug, and we copied and paste a lot of that same template to last year, and it just didn't work out at all. So again, when
Mm-hmm.
you're winning, a lot of these issues don't or aren't really seen, and Lafreniere for me has been an issue. I need to see more from him moving forward. I do agree with you. Mika has been much better.
Yeah,
Um,
right. I think he's got 4.26, right? 6 points.
yeah, yeah. He's been much better. What I'm weary about is that again that expectation. I don't want to sit here and be, I don't want to be gloom and doom. No, I'll tip my hat to Mika for the first month of the year. I want to see a little bit of improvement. And
Thanks,
Panarin's
little A. We see you there.
little bit. Panarin's gonna be Panarin. He's gonna wake up. He's gonna score. And if he doesn't, if he goes another 2 weeks, or if he goes 3 weeks for 1 goal, I'd be very surprised. Even on a contract year, everything that's coming up, maybe it gets to his head a little bit. This is a little weird. After the first month of October, as we promised, we on the last episode, we're gonna go through each of the Rangers' goal scorers for the month of October. I'm curious if Panarin's on there.
Okay, Steve, since you brought it up, man, I did the search. October 2024, the point leader was Panarin, 15 points. Loff and Cooley both tied for 8 points. This is last year. The team went 6-2-1. And like you said, that was like outscoring some of their problems and like winning in games and finding ways to win despite some of their 5v5 problems overall. Kreider and Panarin led the team with 6 goals. October 2023, Panarin had 15 points, Fox had 11, and Zibanejad had 9. The goals leader again was Chris Kreider. October 2022, the goals leaders were Zibanejad with 6 and Panarin with 5. So I think that's why it's a little strange to see Panarin off to a slow start, where the last 3 years that hasn't been the case. So yeah, I think your sentiment I agree with. Like the points will come, but I do wonder. You kind of placed an interesting thing down at the table here, like a voodoo doll
Huh.
with the contract year. I also think this is a player that's just going to get paid. Like I think the other 31 clubs in the NHL aren't like, hey, Panarin has a slow start. I think they're still looking at him like, hey, what can we trade for him? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. Wow, we could have had that placed anywhere better in the episode. That actually, now that you say that, Panarin in the last 2 years and practically 2023 as well. Yeah, you look at this year's numbers, and you're like, wow, what's up? The only thing I could point to is one of two things. It's either a new system under Mike Sullivan,
Yeah, yeah.
or number two, it's the contract getting to his head. I don't know. I If I had to take a guess, maybe I would say new system under new head coach, but is it really new system? You don't really have that many new players, so I
And
that
he
is
was kind of always boundless. Like I feel like with Gallant, they were more free and loose, and he succeeded. And then with Laviolette, there was more of a structure, and he succeeded. Um, and the players demanded structure going from Gallant to Laviolette. That was the main complaint for Artemi Panarin. That's what
yeah.
the news sources confirmed to us. So like you're saying, I don't know what it is, Steve. Maybe this stat could help the conversations, but they do have a 12% conversion rate on the power play. That's 31st in the NHL. So, like, the other argument with that, too, is the only player missing from the equation is Chris Kreider. And they
Yeah.
weren't line mates 5v5.
Mm-hmm. Eh, He is so weird, dude. I have sat here for so long trying to figure this out, and it's just like you just can't. One of those questions you'll
Yeah.
never figure out. Um, but I don't know. We'll see over the next month if he gets better. Power play has been good though. I will say that that is a huge reason why we've seen a little better, little uptick in play. And that's even without Vinny T. And I'm not even sure you
That
want to
is
mix
his
in
that's his
Nets.
natural center. That's also a factor. Like Strom, when he left, the big thing was like, oh, is Trocheck? They've clearly established a great chemistry. Um, is it really that Zibanejad and Panarin just don't mesh?
I don't know, man. If I had that answer, I don't know. It's just maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. And we're just like trying to squeeze the rag for any droplet at this point. But I don't know. It's just it's tough. It's tough out here, and Panarin is going to wake up at some point. Again, for me, it's Loft. I need to see some from Loft, especially after the performance we had 2 years ago. 2 years ago, or no, it was 2 years ago, right? Yeah. Wow, time flies. Um, and then
Oh yeah, 23, 24. Yeah.
we see the expectation, dwindle out and go back. It's like, was that a floor? Was that just a one-off year? Like, that's kind of what we've seen, what he's capable of. Like, why are we not seeing consistency with him? And I think he's a big part of the equation. And as is Panarin. Panarin shows. You see the record. You've seen what the Rangers have been done. We've been a very good October month team. Not saying we had a bad October this year, but it was definitely a slow start to the season. But the last week definitely gave us some hope in the right direction. But I mean, as much as the last week has been good, I mean, we need to turn around and come back to MSG, and we need to win a game at home. Like we need
Oh
to
yeah.
we need to look that competent as we did on the road back at home. Because again, we haven't seen it.
Steve-O, Carolina's 7-4-0, but one of their leading defensive point scorers, Shane Gostisbehere, Keandre Miller, Willie Carrier, Eric Robinson are all out. And Andrei Svechnikov comes in with just 3 points and one goal in 11 games. Oh, now they are still led by some highly talented players. Are you ready to tear into the Carolina pack?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, there's the Rangers goal scorers. I have somewhere on here
While you uh, while you
Carolina's.
while you pull up Carolina, I do want to say that is what scares me even more. That Carolina is sitting here and they have no Slavin, they have no Keandre Miller, they have a bunch of guys out that you just mentioned, and they're still 7-4. And they're
Yeah.
still playing very well. So that's what scares me.
Yeah, Seth Jarvis, man, he's looking like a stud. 7-4-11 to start the year. He's on an absolute tear point per game, and I think he's definitely going to be a Team Canada shoe-in, considering he was on the outside of the conversation with Four Nations last year. But they're third in the NHL in goals for per game. And this is where I think this could benefit the New York Rangers. The Rangers defense is shown to be stronger, especially in Seattle. Now, are they as high octane, high powered as these Carolina Hurricanes? No. But I think they'll bring that average down. 3.6 goals. I just don't see the Rangers giving up that many goals. Now home ice, that hex is its own thing, Steve, but like the Carolina power play is converting at 9%. They are last in the NHL on the power play, and the Rangers penalty kill is ninth best in the NHL, 84.8% coming into this game. So I think the Rangers have the special teams advantage. They have the goaltenders that I don't I wouldn't go as far to say the advantage, but certainly to start the year, the Rangers goaltenders are playing well enough to defeat the Hurricanes. Um, and I mean, I'm assuming Igor Shesterkin's going to start. He's been phenomenal. Where do you see the danger in this game? I think it's going to be speed will be the determining factor. Carolina is fast. They move the puck fast. And the Rangers just lack speed. But I want to pitch that over to you, man. What do you think is going to be the catch against Carolina, or where you're concerned?
I got a few things, but number one for me to catch is the fact that we're just home. This game's home. I mean, three of the next four games are going to be played home. Where we haven't won a game yet. So I mean, that is just so integral. I mean, the last time we had this bad of a start at home, it was World War II. So I mean, we really gotta lock in here. And you got the Hurricanes and the Islanders. Though you can't throw, Metro rival games like this away. And I think that is so important right now. Hurricanes. I mentioned this to you before the Epi. They were a big reason why I think we missed the playoffs last year. They swept the season series. They won all four games. A lot of them were not close at all. I think we watched a game together. And you look at the numbers. I saw this the other day. They outscored us like it was like 20-6 or something. I mean, that's ridiculous. The Carolinas come in the last three games they've played at MSG. They've won all three of them, and I think they've only given up like 2 or 3 goals, which is crazy good. Happy now we're not going to see Keandre Miller.
Thank God that he would have lit the Rangers' ass up.
Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth because he'd come in and score 2 goals or score a game winner or something and look absolutely incredible after looking fully incompetent with us last year. That is the most Rangers thing ever. But
I hope
again,
he recovers, though. I hope
yeah, of
I don't want
course.
that to be lost in translation. It would have been the stakes would have been much higher. That's for sure.
Exactly. We'll see him later on at some point in the season. But Carolina is such a difficult team to play against, and I think it's because of their style. Their style is so unique and unusual in today's NHL. They just come at you right off the gate. And I think they're coming in. They're mentioning I saw that they're like first in the East in shots per game. They just get so much shots on you. And
Yes.
I think they are a team.
Volume.
Volume, yes. They're a team that just jump at you with volume, and they come right off the bat. And I think that is something that makes them so unique, and which, definitely watching us play against them last year, that's something that we struggled with mightily. There was a few games where Carolina scored like 1 to 2 minutes in. I think, at least 2 of those games, maybe even 3, but I remember 2. And that's something that for some reason at home, we come out, we look a little sluggish to start games. And Carolina gets you with volume. They don't get you with quality grade A. They just get you with volume. And I think that is something that for me is a challenge. I think it's going to be a challenge to this team, the way we've been playing at home. It's also going to be a challenge for this defense. How's this defense going to hold up? How's Igor going to
Like a
hold up?
litmus. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You wanna respond to that?
No, I agree with you, Steve. You're slaying right now, man. I feel like it's like in DJ Khaled, it's like keep going.
Yeah, so that is I would say that's the main thing I'm looking for. And Carolina's been a team that you look at like the past 3 years. I guarantee you, I don't know this for a fact, but I guarantee you that they have probably led the league at some point in the last 3 seasons, or at least top three, in terms of shots per game. Because if you watch them, that's how they play. And our defense was broken so last year. You really can't judge anything off of that.
Yeah.
But that's how they
Like a
play.
black hole last year. It's just like
Exactly.
not a comparable. I agree.
Exactly. So that's something that worries me. I think that's going to be a challenge. And something I'm looking for. I'm looking for ways to mitigate that. I want to be able to get past their blue line. That is something that we struggled with last year. I hate to keep drawing off of last year, but I mean that's you got to go to the source material. And that's something I want to see improve better. It's something we've done a better job at this year overall, especially his last few games. I want to see that momentum. I want to see that grit. I want to see that grit against Edmonton. I want to see that grit against Seattle. I want to see that grit carry over. How are you going to carry that over and come back home? I mean, you can't be a good team in the National Hockey League if you can't win at home. And that's as simple it is. But the last few years, we can't win at home, man. I don't know what it is. So I want to see that grit on home ice against this Carolina team, because let's be honest, Carolina's going to want to set the tone. They're going to want to come out on our ice, make a statement, and show that we are number one in the Metro. And they're going to want to put us in our place. So I want us to neutralize that, and I want to score first. I think scoring first for us would go a mile. I mean, how
My
many
gosh,
times?
I feel like I got a lawnmower and I just wound you up and you're like you got that torque going today, man. I love
I'm
it.
dying. I'm dying out now. I'm gonna let you take over. But I mean, scoring first would go. Come on, wouldn't that go a long way?
It always does. I feel like I broadcast for RPI. They're in a very similar situation where it's like they're not winning at home and they fail to score first. It's a hard position to be in to win hockey games. It's so simple. Um, and it's weird. It's like one of those things like you play the game to score, so it sounds dumb, but it's so valuable. And how many times I think the stats, I don't have them on hand, but where it's like, what's a team's record when they score first versus what's a team record when they're trailing? Like it always seems to really be a landslide in the opposite direction or the direction you're hoping it isn't. So I think in terms of scoring first, it's usually like, oh, the team is 22-0-1 when they score first, right? That was like Edmonton last year. Um, I also like what you mentioned about gaining the blue line. Shout out Mikey Lynch, gain the blue line. David Starman, he's the new MSG radio color analyst. He did a really great video breakdown of how Sullivan's system is to like airdrop pucks. Like the chip is to center ice when they're chipping it in, as opposed to like dumping it into corners and letting the opposite team create basically a turnover out of it. So instead of like giving away pucks, making the puck race at center ice or along the boards. So that'll be interesting because their speed kills, and I'm curious to see how that'll match up too with the forecheck. Yeah, honestly, with Carolina, I think there was one more thing that came to mind, but it'll come back to me. Your best friend Vakanainen is likely out. Connor Mackey just got called up, and we may see this kid Malarsh, who was also called up in the contest. I don't think that'll have a major effect on the game. I really think this is going to be, a big boys game. Also, Steve, you mentioned the Carolina Hurricanes kind of like proving it to the Rangers in play style, in theory, 100%. We know Rod Brind'Amour's system has brought that team to conference final appearances. But I'll argue this: Carolina and New York are tied right now in the standings, and the Rangers have not been nearly as good a team as I think tied for second in the Metro suggests. Now, the Metro is not very good this year. Pittsburgh's the surprise. New Jersey is first place. But the fact that the Rangers are tied with Carolina, to me, that means all blue chips in. Like, you need to win this game because, as you always say, Steve, fatten up now, fatten up at home, fatten up early in the season because there's going to be a point where the economy's bad and you don't got food in the cabinet. So I think this is the exact time that, like, get this win, man. You're tied with them.
I love that. There's nothing you can say for the rest of the episode that will beat what you just said. I love that. Um, yeah, you're right, and it goes back because a week ago we were sitting here. Carolina was up top of the Metro, and we were down below. And you look, that just goes to show you we had a strong week. We won our last three
Granted,
games.
they've had injuries. But I want to say that too. Like, I'm not saying it like without acknowledging why Carolina's had some trouble.
Yeah, that is true, but still, they still lost. I think they lost two out of the last. They lost four out of the last 6 games. That's still pretty big, and that's something for us to capitalize on, especially on home ice. And they want to, again, Carolina wants to come out and still show like we are the top dog in the Metro. And to be honest with you, I would say they probably are the top dog in the Metro. They might not be playing like it right now with the injuries, but they still have a lot of guys that can make an impact despite the injuries. And again, it's still a testament to how good they are. Pittsburgh surprises me, yes. Is Carolina a better team than Pittsburgh? In my mind, yes, not even close. But if you come out and you win this game against Carolina, you jump Columbus in the standings and you jump Carolina in the standings. You're 2 games back behind Pittsburgh. This is a big, big game. And again, not only that, it's keeping the momentum going that we are riding on. You look at 2 years ago when we swept that entire road trip early on in the season. I don't remember if that was October or November. You got a better memory than me. You can. Do
I
you
think
recall?
it was right around this time too. I think it was like the same thing because when I returned to MSG, it was November 2nd against the Carolina Hurricanes, and it was the game that Adam Fox and Filipino got injured. So if it wasn't, it might have been right after that because Heedle's injury forced Trocheck up the lineup, I think.
Never a doubt in my mind, bro. You always got those things embedded in your head. Um, but that road trip win was so pivotal. Look at the confidence and looking back at that team. That team wasn't stellar. You didn't look back at that team and say, "Wow, that's the one that got away. We should have won the cup." That confidence, really shelled out that team, and that team came out and played amazing for the month of November. So that's the same thing I'm looking at here. Coming out, we didn't sweep this road trip. We still had a hell of a 3 games to win, and that are big. So I want to take that confidence, and I want to come out against number one, home ice, a solution we haven't been able to solve so far, and number two, a team like Carolina. I said Carolina make a statement. Why don't we make a statement? We're making a statement that, we're here. We're a team that's not going away in the Metro. And I think, there's more to be said on the Rangers side than it is to be for Carolina in this game. And that's why I think this game is more important for us. I know you're going to agree with me, right?
Yeah, because you think Carolina drops this, okay, we had injuries, that's how we're going to chalk it up, move forward. We're dealing with a little bit of a bigger beast here within our own room and our own situation. The Rangers, you lose again. Now it's 0-5-1 on home ice. Like the media pile on. Then the fact that they don't play again until at home against the Islanders. That's not a situation you want to be in either. So I agree with you. Not that the players think about those things too much, but I do think they think about playing in the world's most famous arena and not having a single win to your club's record. Steve-O, any final thoughts with Carolina?
I wouldn't read much to the some of the statistics. I think some of them are bullshit. Like how Carolina is 6-1 in their last 7 games at MSG. Yeah, don't look into that. We got a new system, a new coach coming in. Carolina, this is kind of a big game for them too because I think they just lost to Boston. They lost 4 of the last 6. They come out and they lose this game, after starting the year so strongly that they did. What did they start? 4-0, 5-0, some crap like that. 4-0.
Yeah, they were on a real heater. You're right. And they played, I think, like Vegas and LA.
Yep. They won games that they won. They weren't games like, you know, LA folded.
Like New
So
York against Seattle.
yes, yes, yes. Games like that. And tough opponents too. But if they lose this game, they're kind of like us last year where we came out, we were 6-2 or 6-1-1, whatever it was, and then we totally collapsed. And it's kind of like, wait, we started the year off so strong, and now we're back, we're back into the wild card, and it's way too early to look at standings, but still, it's still that sentiment of you weren't able to establish being that top dog in such a weak Metro. And maybe the Metro isn't that weak. I still think it's early to say on that.
Okay,
We'll
that's
see.
fair.
Pittsburgh has blown me
Yeah,
away.
because I agree with you because people are acting like, okay, the Metro's weak and Pittsburgh's good. I think Pittsburgh's just playing really good right now.
I think they're playing really good right now. This is not a Pittsburgh team that scares me. But we'll have to see. Clip that and see. I'm willing to say that
Uh,
Pittsburgh will not be number one for sure in like 3 months
you can clip it and put it up. I don't want association with that one.
But really, they don't. Like, what is scary about Pittsburgh? We played them twice. Yeah, they beat us on home ice, but that was kind of more so us than them. You could tip
Well,
their.
Malkin's on a heater, man. He's going full Joe Flacco right now.
He is, but even with that, I don't see Malkin having an over year of last year. Like, I just don't see that happening. And I just think that they're just the issues that they've had the last few years. You look at was it last year or 2 years ago, where all they had to do was win 2 games and they're in the playoffs. And what they played like Nashville and Chicago, and they lost both of them. I mean, this is just not a team that has been able to hold on to lightning in a bottle these last few
That
seasons.
gave Bedard to Chicago. I think that was the way the lottery went.
Yep, yep. So that they just weren't they can't hold on to any momentum. So they don't scare me. New Jersey is such a weird team.
I don't know what to think of them either.
I don't listen. They're not frauds, but they're just. You look at last year, or what? You look at last year, and then you look how they fell in the standings. It's just weird.
Very weird. And
Carolina's
they
the
go
best.
on like heaters where they'll go on like a 10-game win streak.
Exactly. Another team I don't take seriously. We're just going through all of them now. Columbus, I don't take seriously at all. Again, they don't scare him. What scares you? What do you look at Columbus and
All
make?
right, New Jersey and Pittsburgh scare me more than Columbus.
Of course,
Scare might be the wrong word. I think they are more solid teams than Columbus.
yeah,
I
like
would take 38-year-old Sidney Crosby over any offensive player on Columbus.
exactly. Carolina for me is still the top team in the
Okay,
Metro.
that's
Um,
fair. That's a fair assessment based on what we've been talking about here.
But listen, we could change that sentiment real fast. We come out, we win 6-2. I mean, you're like, okay, Carolina is a little bit. They're in a little bit of a dog pit right now. You could change that sentiment. So that's why this game is so important. Got to take this game. So I'm excited for it.
I don't think we should overlook the game against Detroit. They're 9-4-0. They have the 10th best power play in the NHL, 23%. Eighth best penalty kill, 86.8%. Three players with 10 plus points, and it's the studs, DeBrincat, uh, Larkin, and Raymond. So it's their top players on offense. This is the catch, Steve. And this is why I think it's important to talk about these things when we're talking about a wild card team. They've given up 41 goals, which is 10 more than the Rangers have. So they're kind of in a run and gun style right now. And it's funny. We know your feelings on Detroit, Steve, around these parts. So I don't think you can overlook that game on the road either, because even if you win against Carolina, you still got one of the better teams in the NHL, the second team in the Atlantic, where you're going there for one game. So it's kind of like a quick road trip. I don't think you could overlook it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This has the feeling of a trap game itself, coming off no matter what happens against Carolina. We've had good fortune against Detroit. The last year I think we swept them. I know that we won the last two games when we went to Detroit. And we've played really well against Detroit, even the last few years. And
Yeah.
Detroit is in their 100 year like us too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Their
they are.
jerseys are sweet too.
Yeah, they are. I hope we get to see them. But they're off to a nice start, 9-4. They're trying to end their playoff drought that's reached what, like 10 years now? Are they in the double digits? I'm not sure.
It
So
was
we're
our
bit,
first. Their last playoff year was our first year of Puck Talk.
yeah, so it's got to be like 9-10 years. Um, so um, it is going to be interesting how they come out and attack this game. Funny, I haven't said. I feel like the last like 6 years I've been saying Detroit, 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 Detroit. Now this year I haven't said anything, and they're 9-4. Maybe I should come out and say it. They'll lose the next 6 games, starting with us.
All
But
right, Steve. Now's the time. When we review the Carolina game, then you could say it.
I love Detroit. But yeah, this has the feeling of a trap game. You get the sense that Igor is gonna play two of these next 3 games. I feel like he's definitely gonna play against Carolina. So I don't know how they attack Detroit. I don't know, but you got to be careful because Detroit has been able to outscore some of the problems that they've had defensively. So that game you can't overlook. And I'm looking at the defense on that one. We got to play a very secure defensively game. I think that'll benefit us. Is there anything that you look at Detroit and that says,
The
that
Will
scares you
Smith
a little
meme.
bit?
It's like not Will Smith World Series champion 6 years in a row. Will Smith. Will Smith. I slap Chris Rock meme. Um, 2.76 goals against 3.32. Okay. 897 and 875. The Gibson deal already looking pretty rough for the Iser plan. Yet Cam Talbot 5-1. I mean, this is incredible. Former New York Ranger, Andrew Copp, former New York Ranger, Patrick Kane, former New York Ranger, by the way. But holy smokes, dude! 18 goals against in 6 starts, 22 goals against in 7 starts. I mean, good lord. Um, if there's one thing, this can be a game where the Rangers can like really break out on offense. So I'm not holding my breath, but like wouldn't it be great if they went into the Motor City and like that was the time that all the fruits of this defensive labor and restructuring came about? Because I think they've set up the precedent and their structure, the production, as you said with Panarin, like we're hoping, but I believe it will come. This is a game where it's like, listen, the goaltenders aren't playing that great. Let's find some twine. Let's get everyone excited. And maybe that can turn the tide in favor of the Rangers in terms of the offense.
They are such a mixed bag, bro. It's so funny. This time of year, standings mean absolutely nothing this time of year. I know that that completely contradicts what I just said about racking wins early on in the year, and I do still think that's so important. But standings are they mean nothing this time of year. I mean, you look at Detroit 9-4 now. I don't think they're a playoff team. I really don't. I think there's such a mixed bag of when you look at those goaltending numbers. I think that is just not sustainable for a full NHL season. You also go back last year, and we were 6-1 in the first month of the year. Look how that year ended up. I mean,
Yeah, 6-2-1. Yep.
6-2-1. I mean, the record is so. For the first month, you really can't go off of the record. So I think Detroit is one of them. I think they're an exception. I think they're playing. I think their record is much better than how they are actually playing. And you could go back and look at their last few games. They just barely beat the San Jose Sharks the other night. So I mean, we lost them too. We lost to them, but they're just, I don't know, man. they're just a mixed bag for me. Like I agree with you. This is a team that I think I'm looking for a breakout in this game. I'm looking for our defense to just be very stable, and which will allow us our offense to break out. Especially a power play that's been cooking. This could be a high scoring game. I would definitely bet the over on this game. So I
Hey,
don't
we
know.
don't talk about betting on Puck Talk, man. Come on now,
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna get shut out now just because I said it. Watch.
right?
That'd be a
Last week,
real slap in the face with those goaltending numbers getting shut out there. Come on.
oh, oh, Cam Talbot. Good thing this is on the road. 6-1-1, 6-1-1 on the road.
He's like
This
Russell
if this
Wilson
was
though.
at MSG, if this was at MSG, it would be -1. They would find a way to like subtract goals from the scoreboard. All right, Steve, well, this was the last thing I wanted to talk about. Don't know if you have anything else on Detroit.
No, I don't. And then the last thing I'll say before we get to this, I think the Islanders, not to jump too far ahead, but it's always a blast when we play them. And we took the series against them last year. And those I do want to highlight really quickly that we had a blast against the Islanders last year and we really embarrassed them. But those 4 wins that we had against them, they really were the difference in the standings. Now, given we didn't make the playoffs either, us or them, but that was a difference between us and the Islanders. The Islanders finished much lower in the standings and ultimately propelled them to get the first pick. But though these games matter against the Islanders, I'm talking about when you look at the standings last year, we finished much higher than the Islanders did, and these are the games that you really got to pull away and win. So I'm looking at Artemi Panarin. He's feasted against the Islanders in his career. So maybe he's able to get going, especially at home. I'm looking at Igor in this game. Igor has definitely had his fair share of struggles against the Islanders in his career, but lately, last 2 seasons, he's been very good. And I think this is a big game as well. We don't want to we don't want to lose any momentum here, and I think we didn't face Matt Barzell at all last year, so I think we need to find a way to shut him down, and it should be a fun one
All
as
you got
well.
to do is unplug his alarm clock. Apparently, so
You got any thoughts on the Islanders?
honestly, I feel like you and I are gonna probably talk again
Probably.
with all of our friends here before we play them. So I feel like I'll have some more thoughts where the Rangers are at. Like I feel like every time I talk to a coach this year, um, BC, Providence, RPI, you name the program, it's last weekend Union. It's hey, it's so early in the year. We're not really we have scouted. We know everything about the other team, but we're more focused right now on our product. So I do feel like that's where I'm also at with the Rangers is like after this Carolina game, I feel like after the Detroit game, that's where I'll feel like I'll know a little bit more about where the Rangers are at ahead of the Islanders game. Still a
Yeah.
little early to know everything.
Yeah, I still think it's a little early. But you know me, I couldn't help myself. I had to get what's on my mind.
No, I agree with you though. I agree with what you said. Like you sweep the series, you go 2-2, you lose the series, that's points on the table. That's 8 points on the table. So um yeah, I figured I'd just flash this last part, which is kind of the decision behind the Othman, I guess for lack of better terms, demotion. Um, it seems like the coaching staff's had clear communication with Othman of his expectations in camp, his expectations this season. He played 22 games last year to wrap the year. Had 2 assists, but otherwise a pretty disappointing tenure with the club so far. 5 training camps. We heard about the trade rumors already, and we talked about those. But yeah, it's still disappointing to see. It I feel like it's really hit me now that like this really is probably it for his run, at least in New York. And it certainly didn't help that we talked about when the news broke. that he was being called up, like maybe there's some room for trade value. They just really took that off the table in his sweeping motion with this demotion, just allowing him to play up one game with a big club.
Yeah, I think this is so disappointing. The expectation there, we never got, 1% of that expectation. And I think, to be honest with you, we haven't really helped him out and put him in the best of opportunities. Busting him up and bringing him up here, bringing him back down, bringing him back up, but back and this back and forth game, like he's just like just some just your below average AHL players just not helping him, and it's so disappointing because I agree with you. I think a decision in terms of stock has to be made now before you prolong this and nothing happens. You just get him and he just becomes the next, I don't know, I can't think of anybody to mind right now. It's sad. It really is
Like
sad.
a
And
Carter Verhaeghe. I
imagine.
mean, listen, that's a stretch too. I'm not saying like, oh, Brennan Hoffman's Carter Verhaeghe. But that situation where it's a player that kind of bounced around before he found his way. I hear you. And he's so young. I think that's disappointing. Um, I think the way the team has handled it overall is disappointing, but I don't think the way this coaching staff specifically dealing with it is disappointing. Um, I also think this is a player that didn't have the same expectations as Kako and Lafreniere and still didn't reach like his expectation level. Like this to me was a player that I'd be happy if he was like a 20 to 25 goal scorer, 50-point guy. I would have been ecstatic. So it's also disappointing that like it's not like he had a crushing level of 100 points, considering where he was drafted. Um, yeah, that's I guess honestly final word to your mother on that one because I feel like how much more could we talk about this subject where it's kind of beating a dead horse, Steve?
It's so sad that I don't even want to talk about it. Like it's just, I don't know, dude. It's just another player in the long list of players of the New York Rangers that just didn't pan out. And I'll tell you what, there are some real losers on that list. I mean, we ain't gonna sit here and go through. We ain't gonna sit here and go through it, but I mean, there are some losers on that list. So it's sad, but we're gonna see Brendan Hoffman back up at one point in the season. So that's for sure.
All right, Steve. I'm the gas is out the tank. We are on empty here. You and I have brought this car as far as we'll go for the night. Okay. So yeah, man, I'm excited for the Carolina game, and we're gonna be back, pumping stuff out now. Last week was a super busy one for me personally, so we weren't around the internets too much, my friend. But I'm ready to see where this team is at against one of the better in the NHL.
It is, and it's all coming up tomorrow against the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll be back at it to recap that and everything else New York Rangers moving forward. As always, stay tuned to all of our socials at Puck Talk CS, our website, our gram, our YouTube. Find all of our content. Stay tuned for more. Always remember, it's just the luck of the puck.